surrender. Faith is like a fire that never burns to embers. The voice of the unheard. Love is the answer.
I gotta speak it, believe it, that's how I feel inside.
I can't sit here quiet.
You can take my heart, you can take my breath when you pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. Can you hear me? Are you listening? Sleeping and the shadows could be making history. Through the fire, on the water, used to be a slave, but now you are a conqueror.
They can take my heart, they can take my breath when they pry it from my cold dead chest.
This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. We're rising up, rising up, we're rising up, rising up, we're rising up. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us. This is how we rise up. Heavy as a hurricane, louder than a freight train. This is how we rise up. Heart is beating faster, feels like thunder. Magic static, call me a fanatic. It's our world, they can never have it. This is how we rise up. It's our resistance, you can't resist us.
Over hill, over dale, we will hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, cows are marching all about, and those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high in the field artillery. Count out the numbers are strong. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and wherever you go, you will always know that those caissons go rolling along. Anchors away, my boys,
And welcome everyone to another episode of Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. Obviously, it is Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully, we're not all forgetting the reason why we celebrate this weekend is for all those brave men and women of all the branches you just heard of that have sacrificed their lives so that we can live here in freedom in the great United States of America. And our hearts and prayers go out to the families of those who have lost loved ones in the military. For those of you who are new to the show, since I know there are a few new ones here today, I am Joe Vollano. I'm your host, your guiding light, guiding you through all the nonsense and craziness that's going on in our world today. And this past week has been no different. We've had everything going on, which we're going to break down. We're going to talk about the Texas shooting. We'll talk about the culture of America in general, and it's deterioration of the culture of today. Prime example is that 10-year-old boy the fifth grader down in Florida who sent a letter about a mass shooting, which again, we're the parents of these people. That's what I like to know, but we'll get deeper into that. We're going to talk about our CRB that's going to be coming up pretty soon. We're going to talk about the baby formula shortage. We're going to talk about all sorts of things, and we're going to talk about. Listen, if you're a Republican, let me give you a heads up now. If you're a Republican, and I know you get upset when I talk about Republicans in a negative way, if you are, I'll give you your chance now to just walk away now, because we're going to talk about the lieutenant governor, a candidate for the Republicans, an endorsed candidate for the Republicans for lieutenant governor, Laura Devlin, who is running with Bob Stefanowski. If Bob keeps her after her comments on social media about how the nation needs to take a look at Connecticut and follow our gun laws, she needs to go. He should distance herself from her as much as possible, because I tell you what, with the post she put up, every gun owner in this state should be terrified to let this woman anywhere near power. And we'll get into her comments, and we'll get into her in general. And again, what I think that means for us conservatives and gun owners, and why we should be terrified of this woman. But we'll get into that. Of course, this show always works best when you are involved. So if you wish to call in, 203-679-9610, or you could email us, straighttalkjv@gmail.com. And of course, I see the message board is up and running. So you guys are more than welcome. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, any of those social media platforms, you could join in on the chat group, and I will be reading it along as we go. And I see the beginning of our show sounded like a Mark Levin show, even though Mark Levin is a great patriot, and I do listen to his show every once in a while. Maybe did he do a show like this with the opening like that? So let's dive right into it. I talked to you guys last week about, I'm going to put my little thing up there. I talked to you guys about the Board of Ed last week, and I told you that I was waiting for some information back, and I did not get that information back. So we're going to dive right on into it. So for those of you who don't know, I do keep a very good sound on what's going on in the city. I make sure I when I hear things, I investigate them, and I get the facts behind it. And these facts are undeniable, and they're undisputed. So the facts we're about to go through are undisputed. We have, I guess the city's being robbed, I guess is the easiest way to say it. So for those of you who don't know, I have been made aware a couple weeks ago that we have two individuals in our Department of Education that apparently, again, this comes back to accountability for the workers of this city and for those that lead our city. Apparently, two of our employees decided that one doesn't have to show up for work, could come in, punch in, and go other places and do whatever they want. And then there's another one that straight out stole from the city by billing thousands, let me rephrase that, tens of thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars, billing tens of thousands of dollars worth of parts and using them for personal use. So they would do side jobs. Get the parts on the city's dime, on the Board of Education's dime, and then go and do work, not even doing their own work. Yes, theft. And for some reason, have any of you heard a peep out of this? Anybody? This is being kept so close to the vest by the Board of Ed. There should have been some kind of information put out to the public. I've known about this for at least 3 weeks. At least, if not more. So this city has been robbed for the last, I would say, 6 years. This has been going on. That's just been found out. And then we have another one that's punching in, going other places, not actually working, not doing their job, but yet the city's paying them. Where are their supervisors? You haven't heard a peep of this. Screw paying them back. Listen, he needs to be prosecuted. They need to be prosecuted. Plain and simple. These are undeniable facts. No one disputes them. But yet, you've heard nothing. Nothing about this. Has this been handed over to the police department? Is my number one question. Have their supervisors been reprimanded? Have they? Because you cannot tell me this has been going on for years. You can't tell me this has been going on for years and nobody knew about it. They are not still employed with the Board of Ed. And yes, they should lose their pensions. And yes, they should be arrested. You can't just take away their pension and think that's okay. Because trust me, that was one of the discussions we had. No, that's not the way it works. You steal from the taxpayer. You get yourself arrested and you're prosecuted. To actually pull this off for years, this isn't just a one-time thing. Shows the lack, and another reason why I always say that the Board of Ed needs to look within themselves before they ask for more money. Because you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars over years. Again, just going to the supply house, purchasing parts on the city's dime, and then doing side jobs. So ordering residential parts. And kudos to the company who said this isn't right. This is weird. And kudos to the whistleblower. That turned on the individual that was punching in and going other places. Accountability. That is the most important thing in government, is holding those not only in positions of power, but those who are getting paid by the taxpayer accountable for what they do. And they haven't been doing that for years. I'm not going to name names, not right now. But the facts of what was going on, again, is undisputed. Nobody denies them. But yet, again, no one's heard a peep about this. Not a word. Because they're trying to sweep it under the rug. They're trying. They're going to need to try a hell of a lot harder than that. Because there is no way in hell I'm letting this go until I see people prosecuted for it. You are not going to steal from the taxpayers of this city and get away with it. And if the police department doesn't know about it, I think it is their duty to contact the Board of Ed and find out why this has not been brought to them. And if any Board of Ed members are on here, you have an obligation to the taxpayers of this city to make sure those people are held accountable for what they did. Because I'm sure you all know about it. And if you don't all know about it, then the leadership of the Board of Ed needs a talking to. Because I know about it. It is time to hold people accountable. Whether you're an elected official or if you're an employee, it doesn't matter. So we're going to see what the hell comes from this. And we're going to talk about this again next week. Because now that the cat's out of the bag, and we already know the Record Journal won't do anything about it. They don't listen to conservative shows. They only listen to liberal shows in Wallingford. But we're going to expose it here because that's our job. Our job is to keep our ear to the ground about what's going on in the city. Our job here is to inform you guys of what's going on in the city. And it's stuff like this that really gets me all worked up. Because the city taxpayers were being robbed and nobody seems to want to do anything about it. So now that it's out, let's see if we get any reaction out of them. Because that should be in the paper. And the police department should be all over this. You can't steal from the taxpayer and get away with it. Or just lose your pension, as if that's something that we should all be surprised at. It shouldn't already be happening. Once you do theft, yeah, your pension's out the window. That's the least of your problems. Keeping your ass out of jail, I guess it would be the primary one. So, well, we're going to do just that, Craig, and we're going to find out. We're going to find out if they were made aware of this. And if not, that's even a bigger problem. Speaking of the police department, obviously everyone knows about the CRB, because liberals in this city, their number one public enemy is the police department. As you can see, if no one noticed, did anyone notice a new survey go out last week? Yep, indeed. I think this is number maybe like 35 or 36. This is the 35th or 36th different survey that went out asking about our police department and how you feel about our police department, as if the last 30-something didn't already answer that for you, where everyone came back and saying, 80% came back and said, we love our police department. Did anyone notice that? Because you know what they're doing. They're trying and trying and trying. They're going to do as many surveys as they can until they get that one that fits their narrative and they can run with it. Because the CRB is coming out, they're saying mid-June, it should be voted on. Now, obviously, I was not picked for CRB. Is anyone shocked? I'm waiting to see who these 9 people are. Because I could guarantee you this. As soon as we get those 9 people, we're going to scrutinize every single one of them. We're going to see exactly if they have a bias or not. Because if anyone read the article, they said, oh, we're looking for people who have no bias. But if anyone remembers that, I think if anyone remembers that, no, I was interested. Why wouldn't I be interested? Of course, I'm always interested. Listen, Mike Cardona tried to sit there and say, oh, well, you're not interested in it. Yeah, I'm interested. I said there was just no need for us to be here because this whole thing is a sham. Everybody knows what this CRB is all about. It's to slowly but surely get control over the police department. That's all this is. And the fact that it's a review and not even an investigative just makes it more worthless and a more waste of money. And I think the police department, had the best response to it. I think the police department had the best response to it when the department spokesman in an email deferred comment to the mayor. And I love what he wrote. The PD cannot comment on the effectiveness or impact of something that is not even in place yet. Plus, it's not the department's program or our stance has been pretty clear. So basically, he told the paper to tell the mayor and the city council to go fuck themselves. That's what happened. That's what that says in the most polite political way. That's exactly what he told them in the most polite and politically correct way. And kudos to you. Kudos to you, Sergeant. It was a brilliant response. I loved it. And right now you have 15 people going through background checks. But they wanted people that were experienced. Of course, you know, I guess I wasn't experienced enough. I didn't know starting community policing down in New Haven, being chairman of the public safety committee in downtown New Haven, I didn't realize that wasn't good enough experience. Being a business owner in the city, I didn't realize was not good enough experience. Being on the first class of the Citizens Police Academy in New Haven and here was not good enough experience. Interesting. I really want to know what these people were like because these 15, if they have a better resume than that, they better, or else I'm going to be really curious on why I wasn't selected. Why? Because I speak the truth and I call bullshit when I hear it? Is that why I wasn't chosen? Most likely. Most likely. Because I also remember when they told us that the board, the use of force board was going to be bipartisan. And that thing was nothing even close to bipartisan. You had the most crazy leftists on there. You had the most crazy leftists on the use of force committee. The only 2 sane ones there was Bob Williams and Captain Manone. Those are the only 2. So, but that to them was a neutral board. But again, my resume when it comes to the police department and how it works obviously wasn't enough. So these people must have stellar resumes when it comes to community policing. Because like I said, I was only one of the helpers in founding community policing down in New Haven. And again, chairman of the public safety committee for downtown New Haven. But, you know, what do I know? So we'll see who this list is, and we'll go through them, and we're going to find out just how unbiased, because that's what they said this thing was all about, how unbiased this program is going to be, because we all know what their real objective is, and it certainly isn't to bring transparency or just review or accountability to the police department. It's to do what they've always been doing in the city for the last 2 years, which is trying to beat down our police department, trying to discredit our police department, and bringing control under a civilian other than the chief the way it should be. I don't think they're going to be successful in this. I think, as you see with all these surveys that have come out, 80% say the police department is doing a good job. So we'll see what happens. They're saying by mid-June, this thing should be wrapped up, and we should have these people in place. So again, we'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. I don't see how the civilian review board is going to serve any real purpose, since we haven't had any use of force complaints. There haven't been any. Captain Manone, again, when we went through this, when the use of force committee was together, we went through all the stats. We went through all the numbers. We went through all the numbers. And there were no issues in our use of force in the city of Meriden. But yet the liberals, and I can't even say liberals, because obviously there were Republicans who voted for it too, who believe that, again, the police department is an issue, if going by the resolutions that they passed. So we'll see how that plays out, and we'll go from there. That's all we really can do. Again, we'll be really interested to see who gets put onto this board, and we'll go from there. We'll take those names and we'll go through them, and we'll see who gets on there and why they're there. So let's move on to obviously the biggest story of the week, what happened while we were gone, and that is obviously the school shooting in Texas. Again, anyone who has young children obviously are devastated from it. It immediately brought me back to Sandy Hook, obviously, especially for everyone here in Connecticut, and especially for us who had when Sandy Hook happened and we lost first graders. I had a first grader at the time here in Meriden, and just the thought of it, just literally breaks you down. And you'll never really understand why something like this ever happened. We can't understand it. We could never understand it, because the person that did it was mentally unstable, and they were demented, and they were evil. And for us who are not that, could never understand why something like this could happen. But it does happen. And we need to do everything we possibly can to make sure it never happens again. And I feel like we said this even during 2014 when Sandy Hook happened. So it's like, you stop and think, it's like, how can this in today's day and age, how can something like this happen again? And obviously, from the reports that have been coming out, it looks like we had a lot of failures. There were a lot of failures on different parts of our, not only government, but in our police departments down there. And kudos to the Border Patrol agent who shot the suspect dead. And again, I'm not going to sit there and criticize the police right now because we don't know what happened yet. And the reports that are coming out that are saying that the police never entered the building or never confronted the shooter, if that is indeed true, it's troubling. It's indeed troubling. And I got to say, I am glad the DOJ is conducting a critical assessment review, incident review, because that's needed. Now, what I don't think is helpful is people like Senator Murphy going onto the Senate floor or President Biden coming out and just bashing gun owners. That is not the response. Now, I will agree with Senator Murphy on one thing. Something needs to be done. I am in 110% agreement with you, sir. The problem is, me and you just have two totally different ways of fixing the issue. You think more getting guns off the streets out of good gun owners is the answer, when common sense would tell you that is not the answer. And a prime example of that is the shooting that just happened. I forget which state it was in. They just had a shooter who opened fire with an AR-15 into a graduation party, and a woman with a pistol shot him dead. Well, I don't know if he's dead, but shot him. That is the example of a good guy with a gun going against a bad guy with a gun. So again, we can sit there and look and say, yes, we do have an issue here, but what is the real issue? The gun is not the issue. The person is the issue. Our culture and the way that people are being brought up, not being able to handle conflict, is an issue. This is the participation trophy bullcrap. The mental health of kids today is horrible. Horrible. The culture, the whole destruction of morality and culture in the world, in the country today, I think plays a huge part in this. Raise the age of what to 21? To owning a gun? What will that do? I love these liberals who think that if you just make more laws, that somehow bad guys are gonna follow them. Because last time I checked, Craig, murder, no matter what age, is illegal. Well, unless you're a liberal, then you believe that anything not born yet is subject to death. I get that. But once you're born, that's, it's murder. And no rule or no policy is going to fix that. We need to figure out what is going on here. Where were these parents? There had to be warning signs. There had to be warning signs. I mean, if you look at the Sandy Hook and the Texas shooting, if you look at the backgrounds, it's eerily similar. They shot a family member before going to the school. And then they picked a soft target, which is a school, because again, we protect every other institution with guns except for our schools. Except for schools. For some reason, we protect every single government with guns except for our schools. And they're the most vulnerable targets of all. I'm sorry. No. If I'm going to pay high taxes, it's going to be to protect the kids. because they're the ones that deserve it. And that's what needs to change. So yes, I do agree that something needs to be done in America. And since Craig had mentioned it earlier, he wants to hear me sit there and talk about a Republican. That's the only reason why he wants to see this. This was Laura Devlin. She's a state rep from Trumbull and from Fairfield. And her, of course, obviously, her thoughts and prayers. But then it said, member of Congress should look at Connecticut as an example of what can be done when lawmakers listen to the public and come together as one to address the serious issue of gun violence and mental health. What? Trying to take people's guns away? Trying to take people's guns away? Really? Really? With this one statement, with this one post, she lost the entire gun lobby. Everybody. Because I don't know one person that is pro 2A in this state that agrees with that statement. With that statement right there. And Bob Stefanowski, you have a huge problem with her being on your ticket. You have a huge problem with her being next to you on the ticket. And honestly, you should probably change her. She should probably drop out of that race and put somebody else in there. If you have any intention of winning, she needs to go. Because she will not get you over the finish line. Acting like a liberal, trying to relate to conservatives is not going to happen. That's a bad combination. Because we see it for what it is. And if you think that the Connecticut should be an example of what can be done, you are crazy. She needs to go. And I hope Bob Stefanowski, I'm sure I'm not the first person to say this. I'm sure there are plenty of other gun owners that have been probably blowing up his email like I did about that statement right there. Oh, they try like hell to take our guns away. And they try to limit you. And they make it difficult to purchase things, not even just your gun, but even ammunition for your gun or any other thing. Limit how many you could have. Of course, the 10-round magazines. It's stupid stuff that is now going to have a huge issue moving forward, trying to garner the support of conservatives to vote for them. This is going to be a major issue. Whether it was a gaffe or maybe she just wants to pat herself on the back because she's a state rep. Maybe she voted for that stuff. I haven't followed her career, and I didn't have time to go back and look at everything she's voted for. But to make that statement tells me she is out of touch. She is way out of touch with what conservatives in this state are all about. And you cannot win this state without your base, which you just threw out the window. I don't know who she thought she was appealing to. Maybe she was trying to get independence. Maybe she was trying to get independence. She thought that was a good idea. I don't know if she ran it by Bob first, whether or not he thought that was a good idea. But I can guarantee you it was not. Especially if you're trying to get to people like myself who are already sketchy. Who are already teetering on the edge of, I don't know. Now what do we look for? Now we got to look for somebody else. That could be just me. Listen, we talk about the bullying issues all the time. In fact, we think we talked about it months ago. Listen, bullying is always an issue. And with social media today, it's 10 times worse. But again, when it comes down to it, it's are you having those conversations with your kids? And if your kids are being bullied, are you taking the proper steps within the school system? And if the school system's failing you, then are you addressing it with your elected officials? Listen, so there's a lot of stuff. I'll be the first to say it. Listen, Joseph was being bullied once in middle school. Kid kept smacking him in the back of the head. Kept smacking him. Joseph turned around and popped him in the mouth. Assistant principal calls me up. I have to go down there. And he's telling me the story on what happened. And I looked at it, I was like, what's the problem? You think I'm gonna yell at my son for standing up for himself? No, because the school failed him. The teachers didn't do anything about it. So the kid got a pop in the mouth. I tell you what, never happened again. Never happened. Now, again, I'm not condoning violence, but I teach my kid to make sure he follows proper procedures. If someone's doing something, you tell the teacher. If the teacher doesn't do anything, okay, well, do what you got to do. I mean, bullying is a serious issue. And I always tell Joseph, I always sit there and help anybody out. And if you see someone sitting by themselves, go sit with them. Go sit with them. It takes nothing to be nice. And for those that are doing the bullying, again, take me back to what I talked about before about the deterioration of morality and the culture of America. Where are their parents? Why isn't something being done at home? Is this the kind of stuff that's allowed at home? It should be dealt with at home, not my, well, at the time, what? Not a 13, 14-year-old cracking you in the mouth. But sometimes that's just what it takes. And Joseph took that suspension with a smile on his face. And I ain't saying nothing. It starts at home. That's the bottom line. The root cause, whether anyone wants to hear it or not, it starts at home. How you're raising your kids. Are you raising them to be good human beings? Or are you raising them like this 10-year-old kid, this 10-year-old fifth grader who sent a friggin' a school threat? So this Juno over at Patriot Elementary School in Cape Coral, Florida, sent a threatening text. And I agree with the sheriff. The students' behavior is sickening. And where are the parents? It's the times we live in, and I don't know why people think that this kind of stuff's okay. No, my kid is never wrong. My kid is never this. My kid is never wrong. Bullcrap. My kid would never do that. That's the bottom line. And if it was my kid that was doing the bullying, I'd whip his ass. Plain and simple. And he knows that. I'll be damned if my kid's ever loss of privileges. You'd have to friggin' have a surgeon remove my friggin' boot from his ass. If you let your kid go out there and treat people like that now, imagine what they're going to do when they're adults. So no, for me, I think a stern talking to would no. If my kid's bullying somebody else, no, a stern talking is not gonna be the problem. Oh, well, you have girls. Yeah, so I mean, I tell you what, the whole mean girl thing. Again, I still think the same thing. It starts at home. Whether how you treat people, whether you're a boy or girl. Whether you're a boy or girl, absolutely. I mean, it still starts at home. Probably. Listen, I think boys. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're gonna have a different reaction with boys and girls. I agree with you there. But obviously the upbringing should be the same. So, it is what it is. I mean, again, so for me, the root cause is at home. And nothing's going to change until we do that. Until it changes at home, we're not going to change anything in society today. And we're still going to have these kids that aren't able to handle confrontation, aren't going to be able to handle disappointment, not going to be handle anything. Because they're not mentally stable enough to do so. Because they've never been taught how to. And I think that is one of the big problems that we have in society today, which is leading to some of these mass shootings. That and mental health issues, which, of course, we still aren't doing enough in. And listen, I know about that firsthand growing up. It's still not being done. Stuff is still not being done. Enough is not being done today. Especially with how many, like I said, with all the other things we just talked about, how many people are being misdiagnosed or just being thrown on medicine just to be able to just say, nah, being comatose. So, I got some emails. I know you guys have been blowing up my emails, and I apologize that we haven't done a show with just emails like we normally do. I think we usually do it like once every other month or so. We've been doing a show of just emails. We'll try. I wanted to do a lot of them today, but obviously we're running out of time here. But the one thing I did want to catch up on is this article, because somebody asked me about the baby formula shortages. And, of course, the first thing they did was bring me to this article from the Connecticut Mirror, which, again, I'm a big fan of Connecticut Mirror, who don't know. It's a nonprofit journalism thing, website. It's ConnecticutCTMirror.org. And it's pretty good. It tilts left. Hold on a second. It tilts left, no doubt. But, I mean, obviously, if you know it tilts left, then you're able to adjust your thinking on where they're trying to go with it. And, of course, this one was no different. Because, of course, baby formula shortage hits low-income families, of course, of color. Because they always make everything into a racist thing. So, as with most liberals of today. Far left liberals of today. Obviously, the first thing right off the bat is why we don't have formula. Now, if anyone doesn't remember why formula was in a shortage to begin with, is that there was a recall of baby formula from, I believe they were in Michigan. The plant was in Michigan for cross-contamination, which is why it was pulled off the shelf. Now, obviously, the company was very slow to get it all cleaned up. And obviously, there's a shortage. So, of course, Joe Biden and the Congress, I think it was bipartisan, obviously, passed a resolution that they grab it from overseas and bring it back. So they are bringing it from overseas. It's already here. So, to me, this real issue is closed. Why they decided to write this article about, the disparities between whites and black parents and Hispanic parents really doesn't make much sense to me. Listen, there are more poor white people than there are poor minorities in this country. That's just a fact. And they're all going through the same crap. I don't know why we always, every time I see these kind of articles, we have to put race associated with it. Why? It doesn't make any sense. If there's no formula, there's no formula. It's not like the stores are hiding some, saying, you know, we're gonna keep these for the white people. We're gonna put these for the black people or the Hispanic people. No, that's not what they're doing. If there's a shortage, there's a shortage. And anyone who uses it, whether they're rich or poor, they're all seeing the same problem. So why do they want to keep making everything about race? Because it gets some votes. I'm a victim. And the problem right now that they're having with the polls that have been coming out, minorities don't feel like victims anymore. They don't feel like they're victims anymore. And that's starting to backfire on Democrats. Because now, if you see the latest polls, that's why these stories come out. Because they look at the polls and they say, wait a minute. Oh my God. Hispanics are going Republican this year. Oh my God. The African American community is starting to lean more towards Republicans. What are we going to do? Oh, there's a shortage on formula. Oh, well, you know what? It's disappropriate. It's not right because more minorities are being damaged by it than whites are. So look, the whites are taking away your formula and you're being left to suffer. That's what this article is all about. That's what the media loves to do. The problem for them is it's not working anymore. It's just not working for them anymore. And they are getting desperate. They are getting extremely desperate. And the crazy part is they try to use all these national polls. Do you know in Connecticut, white parents start breastfeeding their newborns 88%. But this was a big statistic for the national poll, which is what they are basing this on. In Connecticut, Hispanic parents is 85%, and for black parents, it's 84%. So it's really dead even. But yet the Connecticut Mirror decided they needed to write this article to make sure that minorities knew that no, it's these guys' fault. You're a victim here. You're a victim with this baby formula. No one's buying it. No one's buying it anymore. And that's one great thing to see in this country is that people have had enough of it. And people are saying, take this racist crap and get out of here with it. Because we're not seeing it here. We don't see it in our community. Now, we might see it at City Hall a little bit because, you know, they keep telling us that we're horrible and that, you know, everybody's out to get the minorities. That's what our City Hall would like us to believe. Our City Hall would love us to believe that the police department is out there having a killing spree on minorities, that our police department is racist. They want us to believe that. And they're going to try as hard as they can to try to make the people believe that. But the surveys say they're not buying it. Divide and conquer. Yes, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring everybody back into their little identity boxes and say, no, you're in this box. You're in this box and you can't deviate from it. And they're the enemy. No, the media is the enemy. And we don't play those games. Now, on a lighter note. Well, not even on a lighter note, because we obviously tomorrow's Memorial Day. No, we're not going to. And no, for those of you who keep sending me emails about the DUI by Nancy Pelosi's husband, I don't care. I don't care. Please stop sending me messages about it. I don't need to see it on. I don't need to see it on my phone. I know about it. I know about it. And I don't care because he doesn't run this country. He is not the Speaker of the House. So I don't know why people love to bring that stuff up. I don't care. If he doesn't affect your life, if he doesn't have the opportunity to affect your life, then you know, let it. That's his problem, not anyone else's. So tomorrow we have. There we are. Tomorrow is the Memorial Day Parade here in the city of Meriden. So it is tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Obviously, the staging point is always on Curtis Street to Broad Street to East Main Street. Let's see. And then they're going to the Meriden Green for the ceremony. So they will meet on Curtis Street. And I don't know if Bob Williams is on or not. But I believe they're meeting at on Curtis Street at 9 a.m. 9 to 9:15, I believe, is what was said for a organizing time. So Vollano for State Senate, which you see in the background there, if you like our nifty sign there. Vollano State Senate, of course, Vollano2022.com if you want to get involved. If you want to walk with us, we will be walking. We will be walking with the Meriden Republican Town Committee. So, but I have Vollano for State Senate T-shirts. We have obviously our signs. We have our stickers. We have our business cards, which we'll be giving out, and of course, candy for all the kids. Because who could have a parade without candy? So we will be walking. So if you wish to join us, we'd be more than happy to have you with us. You get yourself a nifty T-shirt. You want a T-shirt? Isabella, the T-shirt's coming your way. So we'll have our T-shirts there. So everyone could grab a T-shirt. And you can walk for a good cause. Obviously, we're walking in for Memorial Day, which is obviously for the memories of those fallen heroes of our military. So if you want to, of course, yes, Mother, you are riding. You're going to be riding with Aaron in the truck. We'll have the magnets on the truck. So we'll be ready to go. Vollano for State Senate campaign is in full swing. If you have not, again, we need 300 signatures, and we have to raise $17,000. So if you have not been to Vollano2022.com yet, please do so and fill out the form. We need 300 in-district signatures. That's anyone, if you know anyone from Middletown, Middlefield, Meriden, or Cheshire, make sure you go onto the website, fill out the form, and you can either do it online or you can print it out and mail it to us. But we need to get those signatures done. So please make sure you go ahead and do that if you have not done so already. So other than that, we will see you guys tomorrow for the parade. If anyone wants to park at my house over on Parker Avenue, you're more than welcome to do so. We usually park there, and then we'll take the truck over to the staging area. And of course, once we get down to the green, we could all jump in the back of the pickup, and we could all drive back together. So it'll be easy in, easy out access for everybody who wants to volunteer. So please, if you have some free time tomorrow, meet us down on Curtis Street at 9 a.m. Obviously, you'll see my truck down there it just got washed and waxed thanks to Damien. So it's ready to go for tomorrow. So please, if you can make it, I encourage you to do so. Until then, but of course, we will close out this show tonight in, I think, proper fashion for all of our fallen heroes of our military. We thank you for your service. For those that we thank you that we've lost for your service. And again, we obviously thank those who are still serving us here and abroad, all over the world, to make sure that we can live our lives in freedom and in security. Again, we thank each and every one of you. And until next week, I love each and every one of you guys. Again, I pray for everybody, and God bless you. And of course, as always, God bless those serving our country, and God bless this absolutely amazing country of ours. Until next time, I will see you guys next week.